When you're working with Photoshop files in Adobe XD, there are a few things you should know, because Photoshop is primarily designed to be a photo editing tool and XD was designed from day one to be UI UX tool. There are some key differences, and the main one being that Photoshop is a bitmap tool and the XD is a vector tool, which means that when you zoom in Photoshop you can see the pixels, while when you zoom in XD you cannot, because it's not a bitmap tool. Other differences include filters. So for example, if you're applying a heavy text filters, they might not transparent well to XD while they're working in Photoshop as they should. Also, some masks might not work in XD as they are in Photoshop, because XD is using different masks. Smart objects might not transfer well to XD as they do in Photoshop. So here is the prime example. I have this from one of my UI kits, and I have this page called headers, and it's a Photoshop file, and you can see that this mockup has been placed inside of smart object, and you can see that it's sticking out right here. So to fix this issue, I might want to jump inside, hit Ctrl D, put this just above my phone, and it's going to cover the phone. I'm going to hit Ctrl and then select these two, so BG and the phone. Right click and choose mask with shape, and now you can see that it's located inside of that mask. I can simply then double click right here, type in mask, and I'm going to fix this issue. But this is what I was saying, some things might not transfer that well to XD from Photoshop, because as I said, Photoshop is just much older software. It's about 30 years old, while XD just started a few years back, and naturally it just doesn't have the same features as Photoshop does, because it doesn't do the same thing as Photoshop does. Some things were transferred recently from Photoshop to XD. So these blend modes, if you ever use Photoshop, you are familiar with them. So you can use these blend modes as you do in Photoshop right here in XD, but some features are missing, like blur filters and patching, so you can fix your images up. So all of those things are still inside of Photoshop, but they will just not transfer that well via Photoshop file if you open them using Adobe XD. You can open XD files in Photoshop just so you can fix some of those images. You can hit save and it will jump back into Adobe XD with that saved edit applied, but it's baked in, you cannot change it anymore. You have to open that file one more time in Photoshop, therefore edit it once again, and therefore saving it back to Adobe XD so you can be able to use it back in XD. So you can open Photoshop files, but there are just some major limitations and you have to be aware of that. And in the next video we're going to talk about Illustrator files, so I'll see you there.